in the house. We are going to be joined by a few people. But before we do that, we've obviously got to make sure you like, subscribe to the channel. PRTV Spurs. Remember, there's changes coming very soon. And I'm just doing some background stuff because things are just not going as according to plan. But anyway, let the music commence. Yes, just people. Welcome to Paxton Road TV, PRTV Spurs. It is Friday. I hope you're having a good Friday wherever you are, doing what you're doing. Let's have a look and see who's in the house with me today. We have got a good panel. Sid Spurs as always, but joining us, who hasn't been here for a little while, the main man, Josh Spurs Debate TV. Welcome to the stream, gentlemen. How you doing?
Konnichiwa.
Good to see you. Good start, Sid. I don't know any Korean. What's up, guys? That's all I can say.
He's taking it too far now. He's taking it too far. Like I said, Spurs is Spurs. Like, they're on tour now. Game tomorrow. To be honest with you, what's the name of the team we're playing tomorrow? I've lost the plot in terms of who we're playing. I can have a find out. Let me have a look.
I'll tell you who it is.
Vissel Kobe.
There you go.
There you go. So we're
Vissel
playing Vissel Kobe tomorrow. Be interesting to see who plays. Be interesting to see which members of the squad from the previous games, a couple of games that we've already seen, start tomorrow. Start with you, Josh. You ain't been on for a while. How you doing? What's you thinking of pre-season so far? What are you actually thinking of pre-season in terms of the games you've seen and also the transfer window? And before we get to see, and then to myself, because I've got a lot to say still, but we'll start with you.
So it's weird, isn't it? It's weird because I think the Euros played a part for every Premier League team right now. Every Premier League team has had to wait for the Euros to finish before they could do any business. So we've seen a bit of business being done now. We've seen Villa, Man United, a few teams pick up a few signings. Obviously, we've signed Lucas Bergwell. It's been frustrating as a Tottenham fan, I have to be honest. We generally, over the last 10, 15 years, we've left it late. Daniel Levy loves his last week, blah, blah, blah. Last season, we changed it. We signed signings up front. This transfer window has not been great so far. But I do think the wheels are in motion only on the basis of what Ange said in his interview yesterday out in South Korea. And the thing he said was, it's difficult for fans to understand what's really going on, but we are working on it. It's frustrating, but the wheels are in motion. So that's given me a little bit of hope this morning, Sam, just waking up, watching that last night, and seeing that interview this morning again, is that Ange is saying we're working on it, Tottenham fans, be patient. It's difficult to get deals done. We don't want to overpay. We don't want to get a plan B. If we've got a plan A, we want to focus on plan A. And I think if he's telling the truth, then the Eze's and Tonys are still alive in my heart, if Ange is telling the truth. If Ange is doing PR talk and Levy's in his ear saying keep the fans on side, then obviously we'll find out in the next 4, 5, 6 weeks, won't we? So the next month, I mean, when does the transfer window end officially? Is it the end of August?
1st of September. Yeah.
1st of September, yeah. So we'll all know where we're at in about 34 days or whatever it is. But yeah, frustrating. I look around the Premier League, there's not a lot going on massively. Arsenal got one over the line now, looks like it. Obviously the rivals, West Ham, Villa have spent well, Man United, Chelsea. There's a lot of this PSR stuff going on. Obviously we haven't got that problem, so we should be out there shopping freely, but we'll see what happens over the next 6, 7 weeks.
And this is my point, Josh. So I always go by what's spoken by the manager, and again it come to the conclusion: is it a bit of spin? Is this the truth? Is it somewhere in the middle? And I think for Ange, it's a bit of both. It's somewhere in the middle. The talk, and I think a lot of the Spurs fans from last season, me included, when he started to talk about, what's wrong? We're challenging for the title next season. That sort of rhetoric, when you start hearing that, you kind of think, oh yeah, this manager's serious. But then what you want to see is the backup to that. And as I said, and I'm going to say this probably, and I'll say it again, you know, some people who are watching this know my thoughts. When I saw that Timo Werner got signed almost immediately, I was like, okay, this shows me where we're going with this, because you wouldn't do that if you've got the plans of bringing in people like Eze's and anybody else in that sort of realm. So I don't personally think we're getting that player. That's my personal opinion based on what I've seen. I'll be all good with them saying to us, we even come out saying, listen, you know, we've got a few years to build it. We've got some youngsters, we're coming and we're doing this. And that would alleviate all of this kind of like, well, what's he talking about? We're going for the league, because we can't challenge for the league next season based on what I've seen, because we're not the same as we were last year in terms of it's a surprise element. All that surprise element's gone. We're going to have to rely on better quality players. And like I said, for me, the gap between who's our starting 11 and who was coming on was too wide. That's probably closed a little bit, but that's closed with regards to talented youngsters and also bringing in the youngsters that we've got in our academy, obviously with their success with the PL2 last season. So I'm going to start a bit lost. What is it we're going for this season? As I said, like my whole thing is, can we win a trophy? I think we're good enough with the players that we've got to do that. Whether it's a challenging for the league, I'm not quite so sure. Sid, your thoughts on so far before we get into a little bit more of a discussion, I guess.
Cloak and dagger. Because last season, what did he say? I want all my transfers done before pre-season, before we go on tour. I want my players to have that the opportunity to bed in within the players, my philosophy, my training methods, and be ready for the Prem. We've got in one so far, right?
I'd say two. If you count Lucas Bergville and Archie Gray, I'd say, because I'm not counting Timo Werner.
No, and then you've got the Korean.
It's a loan. It's a loan. It's a loan, guys. Don't forget.
It could be a loan. It could be a giveaway. It could be anything. I don't care. That player is not part of.
You're not a Werner fan, are you?
I am definitely.
Don't start him on that one, Josh.
Don't start me on that one, Josh.
Yeah, please. The Korean guy we're coming in, but again, I believe he's one for the future, and we're not even going to get him till January, which I don't understand that one. If you're going to get him in now, why wait till his season finishes before we get him in January? As for the rest of them, Josh has already touched up on it. Palace, Villa, West Ham, Arsenal now have made on the verge of signing Califiori, which is and we've been crying out since last season that we want a centre back. They've gone and done the business. They're not pissing around with the wages, the fee. They want their player. They're going in there and they're doing it. With us, we've made a move. It's developing. We've had talks. It's developing. We've got 2 steps into the doorway, 3 steps backwards, 1 step to the right, and 2 to the left. Yeah. Oh, we're on the phone to him. All that rubbish. Yeah. These Eze rumors, these Tony rumors. Listen, yesterday I heard that we've got plenty of money now in the bank for 3 big signings. What are we waiting for? If they're big signings, then get it done. Everybody's now jumping over hoops now with this Chiesa links yesterday. People are going into overdrive. People are already putting him in a Spurs shirt. People are already saying that under Ange he's going to get cooking. Well, guess what? Apparently Arsenal are now interested in him. So this don't stop me on these transfer rumors, because you know what? If you're a big club, you want to challenge for the title. As somebody said in the 90s, you don't win anything with kids. Them kids need to develop. Man United proved it. You're not going to win it straight away. But how many kids are you going to have? We know at Tottenham Hotspur Football Club, we don't play kids. Yeah, it's a fact. Anyone can Google it. They can go and check. We don't like to play kids, full stop. So, yes, he's developing players for the future. Yes, he's looking into the future. But listen, it's all about the here and now. It's not about the present. It's not about the past. It's not about the future. It's about the present. He needs to get some experienced players in. Chiesa, if it happens, I don't know. Tony one, I think he's going to go to the wire, because that situation is he wants to leave. He's got a year left. They want a transfer fee. If they overprice it, then no one's going to buy him. And apparently nobody's interested apart from Spurs, I believe. But we're not going to pay the 40, 50 million. He's not worth that much if he's got only 1 year contract left. So Where does it go? I don't know. But like Josh said, we've got 30 odd days. He's got to bring in something. And these big 3 signings, I want to know how big they are and who they are, because boy, if that doesn't happen and it's just another masterstroke for Mr. Daniel Levy, then you know what? They can check my ticket every
Do you
game.
know what? One thing I would say, guys, just on that said as well, is we had to get rid of a lot of deadwood.
Yes.
We've got rid of Pierre Hoybier's out, sold, nearly done.
It's a loan,
right, Rodon out, Tanguy out. Yeah, loan with a permanent to buy. I think Pierre's is, so pretty much out. Right, he's out the club. Rodon's out the club. Tanguy then Dombele. I never want to hear those 2 words again in my life. He's out. Tanganga, bless his cotton socks, didn't work out for him. Not good enough. See you later. Right, Sessegnon, training with Fulham apparently now. Don't know what's going to happen. Apparently, Fulham want him on a free. He's a free agent. So back to where he came from, 35 million or whatever it was down the drain. Perisic, big wages out, massive wages, 150 grand, I believe. Eric Dyer, finally saw the back of him. Yeah, released. So I've got here 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 dead woods out that were doing nothing for this team. Just
Let me ask
money.
you one question off the back of that, Josh. But how many of them were really like long term? We had them a long time. Eric Dyer, probably. The others,
Pierre, maybe, I guess.
Relatively recent.
Last 5 years. Yeah.
And they've been wrong, rubbish, shite. Tanguy and Dombele,
not good enough.
I don't want to hear them 2 words together. Ryan Sessegnon, I don't want to hear them 2 words together either. Come with all this hype from Fulham.
He'll probably go and get in the World Cup squad now, but that's Tottenham, innit?
But what happens is some players, most of the players with the hype, come to Spurs and don't make it. Steven Bergwijn, another one, comes to mind. Brilliant. I thought, this is looking like a good signing here. Didn't make it, didn't kite. Whatever it was within the realms of Spurs, the hierarchy, whatever it doesn't seem to work out. Troy Parrott, we was talking about him for years and years. He's going to be the next big thing. See you later. Gone. Bye. Not good enough for whatever reason. Not given an opportunity. Talk to me about the policy that's been going on. And rightly or wrongly, Paratici's come in and sorted stuff out. His remit was to be better in the transfer market, but also to get rid of some of this deadwood. He wasn't known for doing that, but was known for getting players in. But what's your thoughts about how we've gone in over the last 5 years? Because I think it's been terrible.
I think Paratici's done all right. I mean, Brian Hill's finally on the move to Girona. Sergei Reguilon is flirting out there with everyone. Man United. His agent says he had the best time of his life at Man United recently or yesterday. Anyways, there's 9 now because I've added Hill and Reguilon to that list. So there's 9 dead woods that would hopefully in a week's time will be off and out the club and never been seen again at Tottenham Hotspur. So for me, that's the only positive of the window. You finally got rid of deadwood because we're not great sellers. We've not been, traditionally Spurs. We will buy a marquee and then we'll buy some crap and we'll mix it up, or we'll get lucky with a Modric or a half decent player. But I feel like with maybe Paratici still in the back end, with Lange working with Ange and the new Australian guy at the top, there's something there. There's change. And I want to give them this transfer window to prove me right or wrong that they are the future of this recruitment. And Daniel Levy's taken his kind of hands off it and giving it to those 4 guys to say, you go and crack on. So I don't want to judge it too early because I feel like it's easy to just jump in and start knifing everyone up now. And I don't want to do that because there's still 6 weeks to go. We've got rid of deadwood.
Let me just say something. When I see
and
this headline
could turn it around.
Spurs, when I see this headline on Spurs' website,
he'll be there when we're dead, mate.
He's going to be there longer than me. He's going to be there longer than me.
He's going to get a coaching job in the background, right?
That's what he's a Mason.
Yeah,
he's the next Mason. Yeah.
What I'm trying to say is him and Emerson Royal, two players that we know are not good enough, but we had to play them last season at the back end of not even the back end, part way through the season, and they did okay, and they were playing centre back, sometimes full backs, because that's what they had to do. But they're not good enough. I know that. But when you see in this team moves from Ben's back, it's like we should be excited. What I'm not excited about him coming back. I'm not, because he needs to go. He needs to have gone from 3 years ago, if I'm honest with you. But we don't do that. So all I'm trying to say is, I understand Ange has got to do a certain role. He's got to talk Spurs. He's got to talk company. He's got to do all that. But when we had someone like Antonio Conte, who spoke the truth, nobody liked it. We didn't like that. We kind of always. But then actually looking back, what he said was spot on. Now, the proof now has got to be in the pudding for me. I gave Ange a chance for last season. I'm giving him a chance for as long as he can, do this role. But is he being compromised? Is he able? Because he's a very honest person, and this is what I'm trying to say. He probably too honest. And when they ask him the questions, he'll give as much as honest answers as possible. But the last couple of months of the season, there was some things that were just weird. It was just strange. Do you think that he's going to get what he needs in for this season? Because he, as Sid famously said, he wants to get all his players in before pre-season and all the rest, and get them integrated. That doesn't seem to have happened with the players that we were looking for, these big signings. What's your thoughts on that?
Do you know what, Sam? Just a couple of things, just what Josh mentioned it there before as well. Ben Davies has done a job for Spurs, right? He's not one of them players where you can say he's been shit. He's done a job. Maybe 3-4 years ago he should have gone, but we've kept him. He's done a job. He's got injured. And you want young players. This guy is one of the oldest players yet, and he still has him on the books. Yet he's going to buy young players. He's saying Tony's too old. He's saying that player's too old. I need players that are young. But you're still keeping Ben Davies. You know what? I'm not going to say he's a shit player, but time has to come now for him to go. As for the deadwood players, I wouldn't say Perisic is a deadwood player. Perisic in his time was class. And even now when you saw him play, he's still class. So he's not deadwood. I wouldn't say Højbjerg was deadwood, because look at what he done in the Euros as well, right? Højbjerg was a decent player. Unfortunately, the managers and under Ange, the fitness-wise, physicality, that kind of stuff, I think was his hindrance. So watch him at Marseille. Watch him cook when he goes to Marseille, right? I tell you, he's not deadwood. Emerson Royal, I agree, needs to go now as well. I think Ben Davies, they either make a decision on you're not playing, you're in the backroom staff, or you say, do you know what, see you later. Because if you want a young batch of players, then Ben Davies is not going to do anything for me. I'm sorry. So that's that. In terms of everything else, I'm in with Josh. I'm not looking at all these transfer rumors, and I've told you this, Sam, before. I'm not looking at this because I'm not interested, because we know exactly what's going to happen. We've been Spurs fans for how many years, and how many times has Daniel Levy done this to us, promising us the world, the big signings, and then we don't end up with nobody. Now he's got the Bergvall deal done, Archie Gray done, 40 million. Yes, youngsters coming in. But as much as you bring in the youngsters, you need that senior head in the team. You need a few experienced players. Yes, we've got Son.
I agree. Right? Let me just add a quick point. I agree with that, Sid, but I don't mind them bringing in youngsters if they tell us that's the policy. Spurs have never come out and said this is, I hate to use the word process, or this is our vision. This is what
project.
This is project. This is, but we're left in the dark. We're kind of left to what the manager says. So if you go by what he says, what?
I think Ange is silly saying. I mean, you might want to aim for the stars and land in the clouds, as per Bill Nick.
Correct.
But come on, we all know Spurs don't have the money. When Man United can win the league, because they can go spend that kind of money. We can spend money, but we can't spend Man United money. We can't spend Man City money. At the moment, their revenues are crazy. Yeah, we might take match day income, what Man United take, but we don't take the shirt sales and the global revenue Man United take. They're in the 700 and 800 millions, whatever it is. We're in the 300-400 millions. We should be comparing ourselves to Arsenal. And if you look across the road, Arsenal went from massive with Edu coming in. They got rid of the Deadwoods, the Aubameyangs and Lacazettes. They went young. And now they're seeing the fruits of their labor. They've got the right manager in. So maybe there's an eye across the road to say, listen, let's go young. Let's look at the next 5 years with Ange, with Lange, and all the other new guys at the club. Let's the Archie Grays might be balling it in 2-3 years, and we'll be looking back hopefully saying what signing. Mikey Moore's obviously come through. He's a freebie. So maybe they've changed their whole strategy and sprinkled that magic dust on there like a Declan Rice, like you just said, Sid. Put an Ivan Toney on there. I look like Salt Bay, don't I? But put a bit of gold dust on the steak, but not go out there and buy gold because we can't afford it. We've got to be smart. We've got to be clever. Now, we probably have got 200 million or 150 million sitting there to spend. I believe that there should be 150 million. So 60 million Eze, 60 million Tony, just putting numbers out there, general numbers. That's 120. And then maybe, we got 11 shirt numbers, 10 shirt numbers we've got rid of. We just got rid of 10 players in the last couple of months, the ones we just went through the list. There's 10 spaces to fill, and obviously there's going to be youngsters. I get that. Some promotions from the academy, the Tyree Sauls, the Alfie Divines, the Lancashires up front, Scarlets and whatnot. You sprinkle a bit of youngsters in there. You've got to do that because we've got to keep that. We've got to keep the youngsters interested. And who knows, there might be a Kane out there or something decent out there. But I believe the young players is the way the club's going. They should say it. We're not trying to win the league. We're trying to win the league in 5 years. Hopefully, right? Yeah. With these 20-year-olds, we're trying to win the league when they're 25. We will sprinkle a Tony in there, 28-year-old. We'll sprinkle an Eze and whatnot on there, and that's our process, Tottenham fans. And be happy to suck it up for 5 years. Listen, if we won the league in 5 years, I'm retiring, mate. That's me done. Do you know what I mean? Like, imagine that.
100% agree.
Done, man.
110% agree. But let me just add these points to it. What Arsenal did is they stuck by Arteta, and he's been in there nearly 5 years now, 4 years at least.
Yeah.
Tell me which manager of Spurs has lasted that long in the last 20. So if Ange was the person,
3-4, wasn't he, Max? Poch.
Max. And he was our most successful.
And he was. See you later.
You could go back to Harry Redknapp, but even he didn't last that long. He done well, but didn't last the length of time that you need for a process to actually work. Arsenal went through the wobbly bits, could have got rid of Arteta, but came out, backed him. The fans were the ones that were going up and down and mad. And this is what we're doing now. We're getting mad, crazy. It can easily be settled and easily be sorted out. Somebody can give out a press conference from the board or whoever it is. Doesn't have to be live on camera, but can just put something out to say, this is now our policy. You can put it in the beginning of the notes or the end of last season. This is where we're going to go to, as they famously do with other stuff. This is our policy. We're going to be trying to create youngsters. We don't really believe that we're in a position to win the league, but we can challenge. Word like challenge is great. Challenge is great because everybody challenges for the league at the start of the season. The reality is that most teams don't get anywhere close to it, but everybody challenges for it at the start. So say that. We know we're going to be in and around the top 6 to top, possibly 4-ish, next season, I would hope, but definitely top 8, I would say. And that's great. So the youngsters that come in, put it on them. We've seen that you can do that, but we need to know that because when you say you're going to play an 18-year-old, you've got ones at 16-year-old that we're all pinning our hopes and saying he's going to be the next this. Archie Gray, people are saying, comparisons to Jude Bellingham and all the rest of it. People saying his shirt's going to get retired. Oh, fantastic. That's great. Brilliant. But we've seen it all before. You need more because we don't have the mentality at Spurs, as Antonio Conte said, to allow these players, these youngsters to kind of come into a new environment. It's not like Man United. Man United, even there was shit show last season, still won a trophy. And they've won trophies in the past. It's all about that for me. It's all about making sure that the players.
I think most Spurs fans, and I imagine we're all in this as well, and everyone watching right now, top 4 in a trophy is what we want. Like no one's taking on the Premier League, surely. Like if anyone's, even Ange, I put Ange in that, even though he gives it the big talk online. No, there's no way Spurs are going to be challenging for a Premier League. Even in the next 3-4 years, and it hurts me to say that, but I see Man City dominating. And there's a lot of competition now, guys. Listen, there used to be a top 6. There's probably a top 8. Now you throw Newcastle in there. You throw, West Ham or West Ham. Villa. Yeah, they take points of teams. Villa. It's top 8, man. It used to be top 4.
Yeah.
Now it's top 8. It's the league's mad.
Look at what Villa are doing. They're just going next level. They're just getting, they all be right. 50 million. Now they're looking at João Felix, right? The problem we've got is Arsenal went for Calafiori. They didn't broadcast it. They didn't tell the whole world. They didn't keep updates saying we're moving forward, one step, we're developing. They put the price in, what they wanted, they've got him. Eze and whoever else we're looking at, we just keeps going on.
Do you think, Sid, do you think maybe Palace are gone, he's yours? Eze says, I want to be there. You saw all the stuff on the pitch after the game, against Crystal Palace. It's a done deal. It's just Palace saying, don't give us the money yet because we don't want to get robbed out there. We want to go out with a full wallet. Maybe there's some of that going on. I hope that's what's happened. The deal's done. But it's just that we'll do it in the last couple of weeks,
Don't you think
now.
Josh, but I'll ask you both. Don't you think other people are going to be interested in Eze? Now, I know he's supposedly got this release clause, and I think that nobody really wants to trigger that. But I think people are still waiting to see what happens. And I think this is a waiting
game. That's the risk.
So,
yeah,
if Spurs then go for him, I think other people are going to come in for him. Because I don't think anybody really wants to pay 68, because I'm hearing this is 68 million. I don't know.
68. 60 odd. We probably could have got him for 40, 45. And like you just said, boys, the longer this goes on and people start getting involved, the price goes over and we'll end up paying more than we should have. And remember what I said, 2 weeks ago? Thereafter, Edwards, right? We're going to end up overpaying for Eze. Edwards is going to have a fucking blinder of a season at Palace, and we're going to go, hold on a second, we should have got him back, blah, blah, blah. But this is the thing. If you want this player that badly, and we've got the money in the coffin, go and get him. What you waiting
I think
for?
the key point, Sid, is that get him in the system now. Like
Exactly.
Ange said, I want to train with him.
Yeah.
That's what hurts me is, listen, if we get him signed, I'm happy, man. Mickey van der Ven happened in the end. Romero was quick. Pedro Porro, went to the last week of the Jan window. They all happened in the end. It's just the manager can't work with him on the left, or wherever he wants to put him. So that's the negative, isn't it? It's Ange sitting there tearing his hair out with Timo Werner.
But the thing is, you've told the fans, you've told everyone towards the end of last season, I want my business done pre-season early, so my new signings come on tour and get involved and get embedded into this team. Full stop. It's public. The whole world knows about it.
That's the problem.
July, and we're on tour.
They're not on the same page. Surely the other Australian guy and Ange talk every other day. Surely, man. Or are they? Are they talking? Because or maybe Levy said yes to everyone in Feb or March, and now he's nowhere to be seen. His phone's off.
But again, let's put some positivity, because people might think this is all a bit negative towards that. I've got no problem with Ange in terms of what he's doing. He has improved us as a team. We can see that from last season in terms of the football. What I'm trying to say is there are levels to what we can achieve with what we've got currently. The biggest hurdle for me is not so much even the players, it's the mentality side of it. We haven't got any, and I say this because, again, I compare us to Manchester United. Manchester United were awful last season, but somehow Ten Hag managed to work his way through to get into a cup final. The year before, he got to 2 cup finals. Do you know what I'm saying? So there is a possibility you can work with players. It's in there. It's in that DNA.
Yeah,
and
it's in the DNA.
When you're a club like us that hasn't got that DNA relatively recently, it's hard then to rely on youngsters to pull you out of that. You can have great youngsters and talent, but at some point it's going to be put on you.
We won a trophy, but it was the PL2. It was the wrong one. Or the right one, whichever way you look at it.
Probably the right one. At least it shows that we've got some.
I think we'll dominate the PL2 now, isn't it? That's what we're probably going to do.
But yeah, you as I said, the famous Alan Hansen quote: "You can't win anything for kids." Obviously, Man United did that with.
I think, guys, what I would say on that point, Sam, is if we cast our minds back to Arsenal about 3-4 years back. Saliba no one really knew who he was. He went out on loan. Obviously, Gabriel, Martinelli, Saka came through the academy. I mean, who knew what Saka was going to go on to do? Who knew what this young kid from Brazil would do? Do you know what I mean? So that gives me a little bit of hope that maybe these young guys are going to be future superstars. It's the only hope I have at the moment, because the proof's in the pudding, and we'll see what happens. But when you look at Arsenal, that team. Odegaard was, brought in, and again, I think was he at Madrid, and he couldn't get into the Madrid side. So maybe that's where we're headed now with these youngsters, you know, and like hopefully that's where we're heading is
But
progression upwards.
Biggest problem, Josh, there is you've nailed it there. Arsenal give the youngsters an opportunity. They bloody had a 15-year-old playing. They've had 16, 17-year-olds. They're not afraid to put them straight into the team. We just don't do that. That's the problem. That is the problem.
I think Conte and Jose were the wrong managers for youngsters, guys. They're win now. You know, they're ready meals, aren't they? They want to go straight in the microwave. Ange seems to have the project mentality. Obviously, when Pep leaves or if Arne Slot at Liverpool fails, the vultures will be back. The media vultures will be back to prize Ange to City or depending on how this season goes to Liverpool or somewhere else. So we risk losing Ange if we give him this 5-year project because he might want to win now, and he obviously does want to win now. Like you said, Sam, he's saying, "I want to win, man. I'm 55 years old. I want to win." So he's not a young manager like Arteta who's got the 20 years ahead of him.
50.
So it's hard to compare Arsenal and Spurs in that way because you're right. They've got a young manager. They've got the whole young thing. It's working for them well. And now they're sprinkling the gold dust. With us, is Ange got the patience? Is Ange going to get tempted elsewhere if we don't have a great window, a great season? There's a lot of question marks, man. And it's worrying.
Is it working for Arsenal, though? Is it really working?
There we go. Let me sharpen my knives.
I put this up from David Clark. David Clark saying Arteta's a failure. 5 years, 800 million spent, one FA Cup. How do you call that success? You win a trophy or you failed. It's that simple. Fine, I get that. That's not a problem. But over the last couple of seasons, if you took Manchester City out of the equation, Arsenal would have won 2 leagues.
Sam,
all I'm saying is,
forget these ifs and buts, man.
I know, but you still have to throw Manchester City into the equation. They won 4 Premier Leagues.
Look, Arsenal have pushed them.
They should have won that league last year. Full stop.
They should, but I cannot say to them. I cannot say, "Oh well, he's a complete failure," because he has progressed. Now, everybody says, about progression and all the rest of it. It should end in winning a trophy. I agree, completely agree. For us, it should be. But for them, not so, because they've got recent success. And even that one FA Cup is recent success. So he had a little bit of time to be given to him because of that. He's a young manager, less than 40 years old. Our manager is closer to 60 than Arteta is closer to 40, I think. I think Arteta is 38, 37.
I think, guys, Levy got it wrong putting Conte and this squad together, putting Jose and this squad together, because those managers, you know, they need to spend the money, man. So Levy got that wrong. He went for Harry Kane to get a trophy and stay. You know, he tried the quick fix. It's not us. That's not us. You know, we don't spend like that. So for me, we wasted 4 years with Conte and Levy. You know, I know he got us top 4, and I know Jose got us to a final, and he should have had the opportunity to manage that final because that's what he does. He wins all his finals, especially against Pep. He's won a lot. So you have to. Levy did get it wrong, you know, and he's gone back to youngsters, back to sort of copying Arsenal a bit. And I think that's his strategy now in Levy's head. He's like, right, you know what? Let me get these new guys in, the recruitment guys. And he's taken a step back because if we want to win now, we're going to spend 250 million. And those players don't turn out to be successes. We've got a load of expensive deadwood. That's the problem, isn't it? Do you twist or do you stick? Well, the youngsters, you've got time, you can sell them on. They're not as expensive. It's lower risk management rather than the high risk Conte Jose management. So I felt like Conte and Jose needed the money. We didn't spend enough. Then we didn't bring through the youngsters because they're not managers that bring through youngsters. Then we got rid of them. Now we've gone youngsters. So it's like, which way are we, Levy? Are we going young? Like you said, Sam, all right, that's our thing. Let's crack on. That's going to be the next 5 years. Or are we going to buy all these ready-made players and try and not have expensive deadwood in 3 years because they didn't turn out? So it's a difficult one, isn't it? It's a hot potato like that.
Yeah, what I would say though is, and this is I want to continue the conversation around our transfer policy. We have spent money. I saw some graphic the other day. Either you probably know more because I know you're more on the that sort of side of things in finance.
Yeah.
We've definitely in the top 5 of spending in the Premier League over the last 5
years.
Yeah, 5 years.
We're 4th in the top 5. We're 4th. Arsenal are above us by 20 million. So Arsenal, Tottenham have the same net spend over the last 5 years.
100%. But I look at the Arsenal squad and see where they've got to with it. We've just made mistakes. If I'm honest with you, Tango and Dembele, Rodon. Tanganga, that's not so much mate because he was there. Sanchez, there's this play. I can go through a whole list of players that I think were wrong buys or not quite worked out. Every team has signings that don't work out, but it seems that we have a lot more signings that don't work out because we spent the money. It's not like I've said, "Oh, we're gonna spend a little bit here and not do it again." We've spent the money. So the managers that have come in have spent the money. Now, whether they've got what they wanted, no manager in world football gets exactly what they want. But what they do have is, right, I need to have this in place, or I need to make Conte, for instance. He came out and said Spencer's not his signing. He said that it's a club signing. He's all right, and that's probably why that didn't really work for him in a personal sense for Jed Spence. But when a manager comes out and says that, I'm not sure what you're expecting. Then when Jose came in and said what he said to Sanchez about, I know, basically said to him, "You're shit." He basically said, "You're shit," because in the cup final we knew that ain't good. So we've got to align the players with the managers as well. I'm hoping that Ange has been aligned to what he wants, and he's saying he wants youngsters because he wants to develop. But the only way this is going to work if he stays in this job for 2 years plus at least.
Yeah.
If you don't get the rest of this season,
needs to be honest with Daniel Levy, and he said, "Look, you know what? Not for me." All right, cool. See you later, man. We'll get someone in that works.
You get managers that buy players because they think that player is the right fit for that manager. But then you get rid of the manager a season later, right? And the new manager comes in and he's like, "I didn't want him." But then you're stuck with him because we can't get rid of him. And that's proved it. I haven't been for 10 years. So if you're stick to the freaking manager, give him the opportunity.
Sergei Reguilon, he's not a right back.
Exactly.
He's a right winger for Conte. Can't get him into the system. He's not a right back, even though we're crying out for plan Bs on the right back.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
This is the thing. You bring in a manager on these stupid high wages and contracts, then you get rid of him after a season. You give him 300 million to spend on players that he thinks will do him good over his tenure at the club, but then you're getting rid of him. The
thing is, Sid, this is why Conte Jose confused me, because I know we went out there and it's like, we paid for a bit of fun. Do you know what I mean? To have let's have a trophy in the cabinet, but they're not more than 2-3 years wherever they go.
Exactly.
So that whole thing was just a drive-through process where we just wasted 400 million or 440 million or whatever it is. I don't know what it is, 420 million. And the whole thing was a waste of time. Yeah. Well, it wasn't. We got into top 4. We had a day out in Wembley, whatever.
But managers that have won trophies.
But that comes down to Daniel Levy now to sit there. Donna Karen, I believe, is his number 2.
Yeah,
they both, this board and the guy who came out on YouTube last week, a couple of weeks back, the guy was talking about Daniel Levy's an amazing guy, blah, blah, blah. Listen, financially, great. Yeah, we're taking in the revenue that Man United take. Hats off to you, Daniel. Respect. That money better go back into the club, onto the players, on the pitch. Respect to you on that, Daniel Levy. You turned a football ground into a global multi-star thing, Travis Scott and whatnot. Come on, we all, that is hats off to that on that one, yeah? The money's going back in the club as per his say. So cool. We're now taking the money that Man United take on a match day. We're now going to outspend, hopefully, Arsenal, Chelsea, Liverpool, who are like net spend 6th or 7th Liverpool. That's how you recruit. They've done well with. But one thing all those clubs have had is like you both have just said, is a manager who's been there for 5-6 years. Arteta, Klopp, Pep. We can't have this turnaround of managers, man. Because like you just said, Sid, square pegs, round holes, whatever, deadwood, it can't be the way, man. Even a Villa have their man.
Exactly.
And that's the point. Teams like Villa, teams like Brighton, teams like who else is you could say is I'd even say Chelsea to a point. Now that seems like a scattergun, and people might say that's a bit strange. It's a scattergun approach, but they clearly are trying to do something. Whatever that is, they're trying to do something. Now Poch is gone. They've got this new guy. Proof is in the pudding, as always said. But they're just doing what they have to do. Now, whether that's the right approach, time will tell with us. But at least they seem to have an approach of some
Can I ask you boys a question, yeah? Not long ago, it was about success. Do you feel the football fan who's so much more cleverer than ever before because of social media and everything that's going on? There's so many great podcasts about that. The football fan now realizes that the style of football and the longevity of a manager is more important than instant success today. And do you find Spurs fans are in a pickle with that? Because we haven't had success, but we want the Tottenham Hotspur, Ange, Pep, whatever way, right? So I find myself as a fan wanting to go to Wembley and finally celebrate a trophy with my club. But I also want us to play good football. So where the Jose's and Contes, I don't think they're done. I think that era has ended. I feel like the era ended with Conte and
I
Jose.
agree.
Now the Unai Emerys are being questioned sometimes on his style of football, even though he gets the hybrid of results and football. Ange gets a little bit criticized in the media for his high line, but we love it when we win. It's amazing. When we lose, he's crazy. So I feel like the fan out there, and let's talk about Tottenham fans. Would you rather have a trophy with a Mourinho for one season, or would you rather not have a trophy for 5 years, but have a project which then leads to trophies and success after 5 years? Because this is about patience and expectations now, isn't it? Because we're sitting here talking about it.
Let me, can I just do this quickly first?
Yeah.
Fine. In 5 years, there's no guarantee that we're going to win anything because everybody else is doing exactly the same thing. So you just mentioned the teams before, Aston Villa's, Brighton's, blah, blah. You can go through the list. Even people like Crystal Palace, who've got the right manager in place, can get them players playing. Looks like they could do well. Bournemouth, you see what they were doing. Wolves, Gary O'Neill. So there's teams that are in and around us that maybe not over the course of 38 games, but certainly will always give you a good game. Now, for Spurs, we've not had success. So you want to be able to build anything in the future of something you have now. We can't say, oh, well, because we won the FA Cup 2 years ago, there's a chance now, but the mentality's right. Ten Hag can say that. He can say that for them youngsters now. We won the FA Cup last season. You guys, or League Cup, wherever it was they won, you guys have got that, and he can build off that. So regardless of whether he brings in youngsters or not, he can build off something. And in 5 years, because Manchester United are who they are, you would expect them to have some degree of success, even though they've had success already. But their success,
I little bit disagree, Sam, because I felt my Man United fans and me as a fan watching United was shit football, mate. My United mates were saying, "This is shit, man. I don't want to watch this." And then they went and won an FA Cup. And that's a great example you've used there of success versus style. That is the most recent, most beautiful example.
Had we won with Jose in that cup final we was in, with the football that Jose played, and it wasn't great all the time, and the same thing for Conte, but had we won a trophy at the end of that period of Jose or Conte, I don't think any of the fans would be bleating on about how the football was.
think they would have been back on their seats 3 months later. David Moyes is a classic example. We won a cup, football shit. Because ultimately, we pay and we watch TV and football to be entertained and to be proud. Now, trophy and success is proud. It's the proudest moment a fan can go through. Imagine, you buy the newspapers the next day. That's how proud you are. You put pictures on your wall and go, yeah, we won. But the knives come straight back out, and Ten Hag, we'll see what happens. So I find myself thinking, I'll be patient, screw the trophies for now. I want a project, man, because Daniel Levy has gone through 17 managers in 20 years.
Ultimately, what do you want at the end of that process? Success. You want to have, you don't want to just play, because playing pretty football. Darius 3K mentioned this, and Bielsa, he plays fantastically beautiful football. Fantastic. Leeds got rid of him. Why? Because eventually it's not going to, if you don't win something, players lose. They lose heart. So when I saw our first 10 games last season, precisely, our first 10 games looks like the fantastic football. Ultimately, when it came down to the Christmas, January, February period, where these players are saying, we're playing the same way, but people have worked us out and we're not winning, you lose heart. So even that 5% of a loss of...
But we had a lot of injuries, Sam. We had a lot of injuries.
I agree. But when we didn't have the injuries, we still didn't progress. Because when I famously remember Ange saying, well, I can't wait to see Bentancur play, I can't wait to see Maddison play, and Basuma play in the same team. Well, we saw that. We didn't get the same sort of results we was expecting. So there must be something in it. It's about, you've got to develop both sides. And I think the disconnect between what fans want and what the board want are two different things.
The thing is, we got Poch in, and we all got excited, Josh, right? Everyone said, yeah, beautiful football. He's playing the way we want it to win, blah, blah, blah. Didn't win anything. Got rid of him. We all sat down again and thought, right, Mourinho's coming. Yes, he's a proven winner. He's going to win us a title. He's going to win us this. Got to the final, sacked him. Oh, shit. Back down to reality. Oh, Conte's in. He's a winner. He's done this. He's done that. Yeah. Shit football. Blah, blah, blah. Get rid of him. Oh, yes, he's good. Oh, shit. Back to reality. Ange's coming. Same process again. So we're just going through that Same. It's like back to life, back to reality, soul to soul song, isn't it?
I think with Poch, right? Can I just say, guys, when he was 3 years in, we were playing that football. Yes, we lost the league to Leicester City by, you know, the Battle of the Bridge, whatever. Yes, we lost the Champions League final, in a really average game with Sissoko, yeah. But we were there, right? Do you not feel like with Ange, there's a little bit of deja vu? I could see what's happening here. I could see a little bit of philosophy. The Conte and Jose thing, I knew what I was getting before he even came in. I knew it was coming. I knew, it's here today, gone tomorrow. Do you guys not feel that Levy made his mistakes with Poch? He's hopefully learnt from them, and he doesn't make them with Ange, who plays good football, who can work with youngsters, who's hopefully interested in a project rather than being here for 2 years and getting out and onto his new contract. Maybe this is the bit where Levy's learnt from Poch and he's reapplying some correction to his mistakes from the past. I'm being hopeful, obviously, here. I could be completely wrong.
I've spoken to a lot of fans, right, from Scotland, and I'm talking Rangers fans. And when we got Ange, they were gutted. They were absolutely gutted. This is Rangers fans, right? Celtic fans were absolutely distraught, but few Rangers fans were saying to me, as much as we hate Celtic and Ange, you've got a jewel in the crown. He said, this guy is going to be unbelievable for you lot, right? The problem we've got is it's not the managers, it's the chairman. And I think David Clark's put it in there. It's like a shopping basket. We put everyone in the shopping basket. It's like us, the women, whoever, when we go shopping online, you buy stuff, right? You see something that's top of your list, you buy it. And as you're scrolling, you see more things and you add it to the basket. Your basket's full. But then when you go back to it, sold out. Because somebody else is going to nick them. Whilst we've had it lying, malignant, in the freaking shopping basket. And then our top targets, out of stock. So everything's gone.
Payment declined.
Payment declined, yeah, because everything's gone. And that's where we are. Whereas if you're one of these that you priority, I've got 3 shopping things in my basket, that's my priority. You go there, you buy
I think Levy's hopefully realised he's not a great. He might be a great negotiator, but he's not a great scout. He's not a great, he's an eye for a player. That's not his thing. He sits in an office, in a suit. He's not in a tracksuit.
100%.
It's not his thing. But he's realised
doing that.
Pay the money.
But okay, so I think you mentioned something earlier, Josh, about what's the fans' expectations, and I think that depends. I think it depends on your age range, to be honest. I think some of the younger fans, and I gauge this by speaking with like Darius 3K and others who are in their very early 20s. They were saying they just want to get top 4 good football because they want to be able to play in the competitions that play good football. Trophy is secondary. Top 4, and that goes back to the Arsene Wenger days where he kind of started to put that out there that top 4 was a trophy. So now we've got this thing in the head. If we're in the Champions League, we've got success. Honestly, apart from that 2019, are we ever likely to win that Champions League in the next 5 years? I doubt it. I doubt very much. So it's great being in those competitions, playing pretty football and all the rest of it. But at some point, you're in this. It's not football is a business, but we as fans don't look at it as a business. I don't look at football. I don't care how much money they make on a match day revenue, but it's the only care I have is where does that match day revenue go towards our success? If it's going towards bringing in players and just developing this top 4 mentality, that's great if everybody's aligned to it and we're happy with that. But I'm not, and I don't think the majority of Spurs fans are, because 2000.
The thing is, Sam, what do players want? Let's take Heung-min Son, right? Let's take Harry Kane.
Payment.
They want Champions League, and they want money, but they want Champions League, right? Players just want to be in the Champions League. They'll pick up trophies along the way. Romero's just won 3 in the last 3 years, or whatever it is, right? They'll win trophies maybe elsewhere in their career, but every player wants to play in the Champions League. Now, what do fans want? Like you said, we don't care about Champions League. We want trophies. We want to go out there and celebrate in Wembley and on an open top bus. When will we ever see an open top bus? I keep seeing the same bus pulling up at the top of my road, mate. So what do we want? What do fans want? What do players want? And what the club wants are not always the same thing. The club wants Champions League. The players want Champions League. Don't get me wrong, not all players want Champions League. Some players are happy to pick up a trophy and play in Europa League or not even play, you know, West Ham, for example. But until all three connect, we're always going to have a divide in the fan base, because there are players that will come to Spurs, pick up a wage because it's English money and it's good money, and they're happy to just play Champions League, man. There'll be some winners who say, I want to win a trophy, man. And I don't care. I'm not retiring with that trophy. Bless Harry Kane. He still hasn't won one, and he's gone to like one of the biggest clubs in the world. So I think sometimes when you bring a player in, you kind of want to ask yourself, are you here for the money and top four? Or are you going to leave everything on the pitch? And you really want to be, are you a winner? Like you said, mentality. Are you a winner? Because the fans, we could have the mentality.
Josh. That's the point. We're bringing in players. I don't believe, not all of them, because I said Perisic is probably one that I did have, but that mentality isn't there for us to win. So again, this is how I kind of heard this kind of scenario that people have said makes sense to me now, is if we were to garner success, but let's say we was to win a Europa League or a FA Cup, it doesn't just stop there. We're not, as fans, going to go, great, fantastic, happy with that, no longer want to win anything more because we've won something. We want more success. More success leads to more money being invested. You have to then continue that cycle, which is the reason why the likes of Liverpool, the likes of Man United, Man United, Manchester City, you have to keep spending that money because they have to keep chasing the success.
Chelsea is a good example.
Yes.
But the thing is, it's got to come from the top. We've got a chairman who, in my opinion, I don't know about you two, I don't think he wants to win trophies. I don't think he wants the Champions League. He wants the fucking money coming in.
It's a bonus. It's a bonus. The trophy is a bonus.
I was just going to say, I don't think he's a case he doesn't want to win, but as Josh just said, I think it's a bonus. It's a bonus if you get it. But then what they do realize is you're going to have to keep spending. That's what Poch did when we got for the 2019 Champions League final. It's like, we need to push on now. It's like, oh shit! If we'd have won that Champions League final, the board would have had no choice.
The only thing is, Sam, I was at the Champions League final and we had a new stadium and whatnot. I think we'd been in the stadium a year, maybe a year we'd been in when we got to the Champions League final. Was it 2 years? I can't remember. COVID's gone. The pandemic's gone, right? You know, yes, we can talk about global stuff, but ultimately the club is now, you know, I don't know the finances, but the club is now stable. The loan is there. You know, the money's coming in. This, if this window and the next 2-3 windows, we don't start spending serious money, and I'm talking 150 to 250 million, probably 200 million average, every transfer window, then Daniel Levy has to be questioned. If he sanctions the money and the recruitment guys pick the odd wrong un, that's fine. We allow 20% waste, 30% waste, whatever you want to call it. If he gets involved with the transfers and buys the tangies or whatever, the ones that haven't worked out, then again, it's back on him. So Daniel, as per Sid's point, Daniel Levy, right, sits at the top of this club. He sanctions the money. He's a shareholder of this business, and he wants a return on his investment. He's a businessman first and foremost. Then comes the football and the trophies. We are fans. We don't give a shit. We just want trophies. Okay. Of course, we want our club to stay alive. We don't want to be the next, club to go down, right? So we've all got different things. And managers come to win trophies and also earn some money along the way, man. It's a career, for God's sakes. Of course, they want to be in a job. Who doesn't want to be in a job? So for me, right, the way I look at it is Daniel Levy, if I'm looking at the positive side, has learnt from Poch. The stadium's been built. The money's coming in. He's got the new team in place. Paratici didn't work out. But good. Brought some good players in, the Romeros and etc. Lange, let's see what he's made of. Still early to tell, but a lot of good positivity around him from his days at Villa and what he's up to right now with us. So for me, there's a big question mark on Daniel Levy's head at the moment. I'm not out and I'm not firmly in. I'm seeing Daniel Levy's moves. This window, next window. Well, January is always a difficult one, so I don't really look at that too much. But this year and next year, right? These two next windows will tell us a lot about whether Daniel Levy's vision of making Spurs a top club is all talk or he's really in. Because he's got the money coming in, he's got the right manager, I believe. He's made some changes in recruitment, but the final piece that's missing is for him to just flick that switch, right? The final switch. You can flick all the little room lamps on, but are you going to flick the main switch? So hopefully this window ends good. Eze, Tony, and a couple more good signings. And then I'm starting to believe that, okay, Daniel, I get it, man. You went through the stadium build. I get it. You made some big mistakes, but I'm willing to forgive, and I'm willing to forgive and forget. Just get this club back to where it should be. So I think a lot of Spurs fans are looking at Daniel Levy more than ever now, because he's the stadium card's gone. The COVID card's gone. All them cards are out of his hand now. Now everything's on the table. Let's see what Daniel Levy really does. I'm not firmly out at the moment. I'm firmly question mark, man. But I feel like Sid's firmly out from what he said.
I'm not.
Where you at? Yeah.
I'm not. I'm probably in the same boat as you. I'm not in on that, because the reason I say I'm neither is because I know that Daniel Levy has allowed money to be spent, as we've mentioned before. We're in the top five,
yeah,
fourth,
top four.
In terms of money being spent in the last 5 years. So we can't be saying, "Oh, we haven't spent money." What I'm saying is, as you've probably alluded to earlier, Daniel Levy's had his hands maybe in that involvement a bit too much, and not left the footballing decisions to people who are involved with football. He's a great finance person. Do that side of thing. Obviously, he's going to have the final say. If someone comes and says, "Well, I've got a player here, on the books he's worth 50 million, but we're going to have to pay 100 million to get him," I would have a question mark or two to say, as the person who's paying the money, you're going to do that. But if you trust your people and you let them get on with it, and you've seen that they've got success by what they've done previously, for instance, someone like Dan Ashworth, you know he's got success. He's had success with FA. He's had success with the clubs that he's been to. So you kind of are listening to him. And what I've seen now for what Man United are doing, it looks like they're going in the right direction. Whatever direction that is, they look like they're going in the right direction, because the policies seem to be aligning with what Ten Hag wants. Ten Hag looked like he wanted younger players in who are going to listen to him. They brought players in that's going to be doing the same sort of thing. They haven't bought like a 33-year-old Ronaldo or Ibrahimovic, which they were doing beforehand. They bought, right, we're looking for this. That's what we need to do. But say that's what we need to do and do it. And it looks like we're doing it. We can't have a mix.
United just bought that. They just bought that young guy, didn't they? Who played barely any football.
Exactly.
Forgotten his
talented,
name, but
talented to hell. But
I think one thing that Daniel Levy, maybe the Daniel Levy fans can argue in his case, is that he's made us financially sustainable going into this very strict PSR new era of football, because football is now becoming more sustainable than ever before, financially sustainable. So Daniel Levy, by getting the stadium done, you know, and all this you know, off the pitch financial revenue streams that are now coming in that weren't in at White Hart Lane, he's made us financially stable. And going into this era where the Russians and the Saudis can't necessarily just come in and spend 500 million, we are now geared up to compete more than we ever have competed in the past in terms of financially. So we are now better placed because of Daniel Levy's off the pitch decisions.
Are we going to change our history of what we've done previously? And that, what I mean by that is, okay, we're going to be in a better financial position, but are the fans going to dictate how long the manager stays? Because ultimately, that's what Daniel Levy is listening to. As soon as the fans start grumbling, as soon as the fans start moaning, he's out. As soon as the fans started moaning about Jose, he was out. Before a cup final, and someone made that good point, who sacks a manager a week before a cup final? But all the fans were saying the football was rubbish, because I remember that Everton game.
It was.
But
I mean, looking at that final, we had no chance of winning it, Sam. On form, we had no chance.
Potentially, but it's a final. At the end of the day, the person that's got you to the final is a renowned trophy winner. It makes more sense for me to
I think Levy's, you know, you get certain clubs that are managed by different owners. They have different people, mostly abroad. This guy's there every day, man. He probably, you know, he goes to the office every morning, right? You can't get in his way. He's that manager you work for that you need to make his cup of tea and make sure you put enough sugar in it, because you can't mess with Daniel Levy's ego, because he's got one. Now, that doesn't help the club. It doesn't help the club. And Poch probably, you know, the furniture needs to come in the house and all that good stuff. Maybe you wound Daniel Levy up the wrong way. And that's the one problem with Levy, is he's that old school, I'm the boss and there's no one else here you need to report to. I am the guy. Bit like a dictatorship, let's say. But that has its pros and cons. The cons are that if you piss him off, you're gone 5 minutes later.
Mhm.
We've seen that with managers in the past. If Ange just keeps Levy on side, this money, like you said, top 4 in net spend over the last 5 years, beating the Chelseas and Liverpools. If we keep spending, we get the recruitment right. Paratici's been fairly good. This new guy, let's see what he can do. Lange. I keep mixing those two names up. Lange and the new guy from Australia, the head of director of football or whatever his role is. All these guys are now placed with the strategy in place and the fact we can be more competitive. Daniel Levy just needs to let this machine hum. Keep bringing in that money, sign up Beyonce and everyone else right off the pitch. Keep giving these guys money. And to your very, 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 really good point is let them do what they're good at. You don't tell a plumber to be an electrician because you don't know what the hell he's doing.
And if
Let
you're not
them
a plumber,
do.
you don't come to behind the plumber and say, I don't think you put that pipe in quite right there, which is what I think the effect of Daniel Levy's got on these managers. You're kind of saying, well, yeah, I'm not quite sure you're right doing that.
Yeah.
Because, well, you can't do that with someone.
And when, if Lange and Ange find a player, let's say it's Eze in this example, he fits the system, the profile's right, they're both happy, they've done all their research on him, say, this is the guy we want. When Levy gets in a negotiation room with the Crystal Palace chairman, the young guy, his ego cannot take over. Listen, if it's a 3-4 mil conversation, you spend the money, right? And this is the problem fans have had, whether it's Jack Grealish, whether it's there's a list. There's a list of players that we've missed out on over a few million quid. I get the wage structure. It's called wage structure because you want it to be a structure, right? You don't want it to be all over the place. So you keep certain players, at 200 grand and the rest are floating around 125 or whatever the average is. So obviously if Eze wants 180 grand, you're kind of sitting there going, oh, you should really go to Man City, mate. So I get the wage structure. And people don't talk about wage structure enough because that's a big cost to the business. It's not just the transfer fees, the wages as well. It's huge, right? It's massive. So sometimes wage structure can cause a problem because a player can go, I'm the next best thing, I want 200 grand a week. And you're like, hold on, I've got Harry Kane on 200 grand a week. How can I give you 200 grand a week? You're 21. So there's more to it than just transfer fee. There is wages. That's what the negotiation is also about. 50% is what we're paying the player. But if the wages are okay within if Eze wants 140 a week and 65 million is the release clause, go and get it done. If Eze wants 200 grand a week, you have to start thinking 200 grand a week. Well, should I really be paying 200 grand giving a 21? And this is where fans are like, well, of course you do. He's Eze. And some fans are like, no, he's not worth 200 grand a week. And this is where the debate comes in. And this is where Levy needs to make that final decision because Ange and the recruitment guys might be saying, we want the player, but are they dictating? Do they really care what wages is on? They want to win now. Ange wants to win today. He don't care what wages the guy's on. That's Daniel Levy's problem. The financial problem is Daniel Levy's problem.
Yeah, I agree with that. But what happens is players are going to take what players. If you're in a career which is a really shortened career and you can try, you're Eze now. You got into the England squad, you played for them, you're blah blah blah. You're probably your big fish in a small pond at Crystal Palace. You can dictate a salary that's going to be commanding a lot more than you get in at Crystal Palace. You are going to want to hold out for as much as you can. I don't think it's the players' issue, and I don't think we should necessarily have to say, well, I don't think. What the problem is, if you bring someone in on 250 grand, but they garner you the success, nobody thinks about that. So the problem is, you bring someone on 250 or 200 grand, like Tango on the Belay, and we still don't do anything, then we start questioning, well, why is he on that? He's shocking. Had we won the league in the time that Tango was with us, nobody would be saying Tango was anything. Blah blah blah. Even if he didn't play a part in that, it's because what we've done is we've shown our desire towards getting that.
I think if you're gonna spend big money, you don't go to Europe. You go home where it's proven, right? So Eze's shown this season what quality player he is. Yeah,
proven,
and he's playing in a very very average team. Put him in a better team, free him up a bit. God knows what he could do. Yeah, we have spent money over the years.
But poorly.
That what he's just said there sums up the failure. 425 million net spend 5 years, half of it wasted, if not more.
Wasted.
And Simon Jordan talks about this a lot, and a lot of these pundits talk about it a lot. Recruitment, Graham Souness, recruitment. It's like in a property, location. There are certain things, that are underpin the success of the whole project. Now, manager is very important because you could bring in good players and have an average manager, and you could have a great manager and bring in average players. And somewhere they find the balance. If you've got the manager, which we believe in Ange, right style of football, happy to work with youngsters, then the missing piece is the quality of player. And that's where Daniel Levy needs to think, is Eze worth 200 grand a week? Do I pay him the wages? And this is the fine line between Daniel Levy making a Tanguy and Ndombele decision, or making a good decision and bringing in a player who's worth 200 grand a week at 21 years old. Because Man City are willing.
Do your due diligence. I looked at, and I'm just going to use the Tanguy again. He had a great game against Man City in the Champions League. But did we do enough due diligence to see how does he work? What's his training like?
Agreed.
What's his method? What's his background? How does he look?
But is that Levy's job, or is that the guy below Levy's job?
Whoever is involved in that process, it's their job. Now Levy's part of that process, so it's part of his job. Has he? But
Sam, we could say Levy delegate fully, concentrate on Beyonce and Travis Scott.
Yep.
But then we could say, Levy, it's your fault for not doing your due diligence. Where do we draw the line at which point he doesn't get involved?
If I put myself in that position, I would ask those questions before I sign that check. Have you done this? Is this been done? Because I've been in this position for 20 odd years, so I'm sure.
But the recruitment guy's saying yes. Sam, remember, he's only got 12 hours in a day to work or whatever it is. The recruitment guy's saying, yeah, Tanguay's the real deal. He's the next I don't know, he's the next big thing.
But what would you then ask for when someone says that? Someone's told you, yeah, I've got £1 million in my bank account.
If you
can I see your bank account?
Trust your recruitment guy. If you trust your but if you trust your recruitment guy, and he might have got some successes right in the past, your recruitment guy, and he's got a good CV. As a chairman, taking risk is part of your biggest part of your job, is taking risk. Like, and he signed it off 60 million or 70 million or whatever it was, euros.
I totally agree with that, Josh. But if you've been in a position for 20 odd years, you've got experience, and knowing that you haven't made those correct calls previously, surely the next thing is like, I'd ask a bit more questions before you're going. It's like before I'm going to go and buy a 100 grand car, let's say, I might test drive that to compare that to just to say, I would just go, yeah, that's it, because I might not have everything.
I think the problem Levy's got is he's been more successful with the Bales and Modric's and the younger sort, so he's going back to type. He's not been very successful with the big boys, even the Sergei Rebrovs from back in the day. Big money signing, Soldado, big money signing. He's been burnt. He's been burnt. He's going back to type, back to youngsters. But youngsters don't win you leagues and trophies. That's for Sid's point.
As you said, Josh, because he's been burnt, that's when I would ask the questions a little bit more. Prove it to me. It's all right you saying that you've got this. Right, show me. What's his background? Can I see the information? Can I at least, before I sign off? And it's just, I can't just take your word. I
think. Look. In an ideal world, you go in the Premier League, you sign the best players, and did what Man United did for years, and do what Man City have been doing. That's in an ideal world, right? Because they're proven in your back garden. You've seen them at your stadium, smash it up. That's probably the best research pack as a recruitment guy you could give Daniel Levy. Look, his Premier League is 60 million and it's 200 grand a week. I think this guy's going to go on to be one of the best players over the next 5 years, right? There you go, Daniel Levy. Go and sign him. Okay, all right. I'll sign him. You've said he's Premier League proven, but there's this guy in Europe who's worth 30 million, who's smashing it in Italy, and I can do a deal at 100 grand a week. Well, do you go for the money saving or do you go for the proven pedigree? Now, if you go for the proven pedigree, obviously you've got less money to spend elsewhere, so that's fine. We get that. There's a budget, right? We all fans get the budget thing. Yeah, we're not silly. The money don't grow on trees. All right, we're going to buy 2 world-class Premier League signings, Eze and Ivan Toney. All right, they're both on 200 grand a week. One's 28, one's 21 or whatever. One's for the now, one's for the now and stroke future. But then I'm going to have to go buy some cheapies in Europe to balance the books. Or you go and you don't put your money in a Toney or an Eze, and you go and buy these 100 grand a week players from Europe, and some of them smash it like a Modric or whatever. The balancing act is on Levy and Ange and the recruitment guys. But ultimately, Levy will be blamed because he's the head of the club. All fans will just go back to the top every time. It doesn't matter if he trusted his recruitment guy. It doesn't matter if he trusted his top chief scout. Doesn't matter who he trusted. Everyone's going to tell you great stories. Even the agent's going to be like, my player's the next best thing. Oh, well, Levy, you should have signed Eze because he's proven. You didn't even need an agent. You just needed match of the day. Let's be frank, right? You just needed a television to see how good Eze is. So Man City buy the cream. Arsenal bought Declan Rice. It paid off. 250 grand a week, 120 million paid off. So Levy has to have a couple of statement signings every season. Premier League proven, 200 grand a week. Screw it. It's like a guarantee. It's almost like a guarantee. Declan Rice was almost a guarantee if you look at it. I know he played crap for England, but
he was going from West Ham where he looked like a really good player, and so an Arsenal team was better, and he just needed to find his way. And like I said, I think that's a great signing for them going forward. That's but
I feel like Levy's scars are stopping him from going Premier League, and he's going to Europe, and he's going for Paratici, and I get that because Romero's a great signing, Mickey was a great signing, Udogie was a great signing, Porro looks a good sign. So there's lots of value in Europe, and maybe 50% of your market should be Europe. It's like when we go to a beach in Europe because it's better than spending more somewhere else, right? Like, you know, there's value in Europe, right?
I agree.
But the problem
it can go wrong as well, Josh, because
it can go wrong,
and it can go right, and it can go right in the sense of Aston Villa. But then you have to have the right manager in place, and you have to back that manager to allow that to transition into whatever your plan is. The problem I think that Spurs find themselves in is we've got that, but then it starts to wobble a bit, and we as fans start to wobble because we haven't got anything to back up. We can't say, oh, well, we won the FA Cup 5 years ago, so I can kind of, we're so starved that we're not going to win nothing now. And then that pressure builds, and that's the pressure that builds.
I think if you look at Richarlison, you look at Johnson, you look at, say, let's take those two players. Johnson was doing it for Forest, in the world of Nottingham Forest. In the Premier League, I think he had 10 goals that season. The season before, 10 goals or 10 assists and 12 goals. It was a good season for Johnson. So some would argue that is not proven, but mid-level club like Crystal Palace, a winger on the right, doing his bits. So we went and signed him. I think Johnson will come good. It's my personal opinion. I know a lot of people don't like him. I think he'll come good. He's still young.
We're not talking about that today.
What's your view?
I'm not. My view is
you're not a Johnson fan. No. I think give him. He's still learning. Give him time. Well, we'll see. We'll see what happens because there's a 50-50 out there on Johnson. So Timo one, I think 70% I've called him out because he's old, and how much better can he get? So I'm with you on Werner. Johnson, I still got a question mark. Let's take another player, Richarlison, doing it for Everton. We went and signed him. Hasn't worked out. So then Levy has to ask himself when he looks at his notes and he looks at all his previous Premier League signings and he goes, Johnson didn't work out. You could argue Kulusevski's better. Richarlison didn't work out as well as we wanted it to work out. Do I go and do it again? Well, Levy, you went to Everton. You went to Nottingham Forest. Now it's Crystal Palace, another mid-level club, mid-table club. Is Eze going to work out? So there are a lot of question marks, even when you buy in the Premier League, is what I'm saying. Unless you go to the top. But we're Tottenham, we're not going to go and sign Man City's best player or even Gallagher. This Gallagher thing, right, all summer.
You could mitigate risks. And this is what I'm saying about the Richarlison thing. I'll just take your point on the Richarlison thing. Richarlison didn't ever score 20 goals plus in the season. I think he struggled to probably get 15 goals a season at Everton. So what we was expecting is a player from Everton who was loved by the Everton fans because of what he did outside of goal scoring. If he just scored 20 goals a season and didn't do work as hard, it would be a different conversation to say, yeah, he scores goal, but he doesn't. But what Richarlison get, because he's a hard worker, because he does this, he puts in, and he can score a few goals. He wasn't going to come in to replace Harry Kane and give us 25 goals, which Harry Kane was doing on a regular basis. So the point of that is, yes, we can buy players that are in the Premier, but we knew what we were getting from Richarlison. I knew what we were getting from Johnson. Even though he's young,
you're a fan that is talking about what's happened, but also at the time, you didn't feel these signings were great. From what you're saying, you didn't feel at the time Richarlison and Johnson.
I knew that Richarlison wasn't going to get. He's not going to go from what he was there to scoring 20, 25 goals a season for us. I knew his work rate was going to be good, but his injury record, I don't know what it was like at Everton, but it hasn't been great here. So if he takes
No,
He's not going to score you 25 goals. Plus, he's not really that fit all the time. What you actually
the only thing though, Sam, is with Richarlison, the only thing going for him when we signed him was put him in a better team. He scores more goals. But it didn't happen. That was the only hope I had, is if he could do that in a shit Everton, not shit Everton, sorry, any Everton fans who heard me say that, in an Everton which is not top 4, if he can do what he was doing then, hustling up defenders, thinking, imagine him in our team, right? I just kind of thought, learn from Kane, but it didn't work out. And I know we had a crap team around him, or we had an average team around him. Even in a better team, Richarlison this season, ups and downs, not really gone on. So Levy, waste of 50 mil. Johnson, you think he's crap. I still think give him a chance, question mark on his head. I could see, I went to the QPR game, and I know it was only QPR, but I could see things raw. I believe the man's got raw talent. He just needs to shape it, in my opinion, with Johnson. Yeah,
raw talent is raw though. When I say, okay, I would even argue that someone like Timo Werner has raw talent because he's got the pace. He can get to a byline and cross the board.
Decision making, though.
Yeah. So that comes along with other processes and parts of your game. I think decision making for Johnson is questionable.
But he's young, Sam. He's young, Sam. Werner's 28 or whatever he is. Yeah, you know, he's an old man in football. He's an old man in football now.
We've got a lot of young players now, Josh, in the game that we can't use that as 22. What Johnson is, I think, 22, 23 possibly.
Yeah, something like that, yeah.
Young anymore. 18.
What I would say to you is this.
Is young.
What I would say to you is raw talent. Look, Cream always rises to the top. Gareth Bale went to the top. We could see what was happening with Gareth Bale. It doesn't matter if Harry Redknapp was his coach. Could have been anyone, man. That boy was on a one-way ticket to stardom, yeah? Because he was that good. Johnson, right? I'm not saying because he's Welsh. He's on the right. He's young. The difference of the gap from getting raw talent to the finished article is coaching, in my opinion. The majority of getting raw talent to the finished article, you got to build them up. You got to train them and drill them. And then the other 50% or 35 or 25% is the system. Because some players can only work in certain systems. Ange knows his system. He picked Johnson from what I understand. I don't believe that was a Levy signing. So if he's seen in Johnson the ability to go down the wing and cross the ball, get involved and, you know, come inside, he's got pace and he's developing Johnson. What right do we have if he's chosen him in his system and he's 21 to call him out now? Because it's just the beginning.
Yeah, it is. But I also think there's levels of raw talent. I think if you look at someone like a Mikey Moore and you would compare him to Brennan Johnson, I think there's more talent.
I hear that. I hear that. That's why I mentioned Gareth Bale. Yeah.
So there is a level. And what I see from Johnson is, he's a talented player, but there was aspects of his game that just even some of the crossing.
All right, Sam. 50 mil. What are you getting for 50 million these days, bro? It's like a loaf of bread. Used to be. So what I'm saying is if you're going to spend what you want, raw talent, you're now talking 75, 8. You're talking Eze.
But however, hold on. The market has changed a bit in the last few years as well, in as much as players are now running down their contract. So you can get to the last year of a contract with a lot of players who could potentially go or say they're going to hang out to wait to go to free. That's happening a lot more. Arsene Wenger mentioned that. That's what's going to happen in the future. Players are going to make that decision. So because of that, you might get a player that's in the last year. You might think, oh, I'll wait till next year to get him. But you could say, I could spend 50 million to get him now. There are players out there that are probably worth a lot more than what that 50 million would be if they were signed up for 3 or 4 years.
But then there's a queue of clubs wanting to give them 200 grand a week.
That's where the power of the player comes in. So that's where you have to make your judgment about.
That's where Ange comes in as well.
Right. But I was a bit suspect to spending that sort of money on him.
All I would say is 50 mil today for Johnson, a winger who was, you know, playing up top as well, smashing in a few goals, playing well against top clubs. I don't think it was a bad. I would call it an okay transfer with potential. Okay. Now, and he's young, so we can sell him on. You're saying let's forget potential. Look, raw talent costs a lot of money, and it's a lot of risk because they're young. The ready-mades obviously cost a lot of money because they're ready-made and they want big wages because they're towards the end of their career. And there's a whole balance of, do you go for Ivan Toney? Listen, Ivan Toney might end up at West Ham and get 200 grand a week because West Ham apparently really want him. Would you pay 200 grand a week for Ivan Toney? Daniel Levy, and Lange, these are the decisions. This is what they're talking about every day, right? This is what they're talking about.
I
What
get it.
do we say yes or do we say no? As fans, we talk about it all the time as well. If you ask me, I'll go with him because he's Premier League.
But if you didn't know he was getting 200 grand a week, would you still have the same opinion?
I still give him because he's
The problem,
rather than a bloke from Europe, rather than a guy from Europe, I'll go for Ivan Toney because I can see what Ivan Toney can do. This league is a different fish to many. They're all different fishes, right? This is a different place, right? So Richarlison for me is better spent 200 grand. Richarlison, blimey, I'm going mad. Ivan Toney is better on 200 grand a week for me because I know he's going to get 20 goals. I just know it. I know he's going to get 20 goals. So that for me, my return on 200 grand a week is better than some bloke in Europe on 100 grand a week for 30 million, right? So I'm just, you know, like you look at the cost benefit of 100 grand a week for 30 million to 200 grand a week for 60 million. Correct. This guy's going to get me 20 goals. I'm just looking at numbers for the return on my money, the goal numbers, the contribution numbers. Tony's going to give me 20 goals. If I'm looking at on a spreadsheet, I'm going, this man is going to give me 20 goals. The problem is when you sell him, he won't be worth 60 million because he might be 33, 32, and he'll be worth 30 million. These are the decisions Levy has to take and make. But if he's happy to sign a 28-year-old and sell him for half the money.
Okay. So this is what I would say. The difference, I think, potentially between what you said, spending someone 100 grand a week and someone at 200 grand a week per wages, would be the difference between coming fifth and coming fourth. And the difference between coming fifth and coming fourth in the Premier League is huge.
Big money.
That's why everybody wants to be. So for me, that risk is mitigated by that aspect.
100%. You get. So we both agree, go and sign Ivan Toney.
I'm saying that. Where we kind of slightly disagree is I don't think bloody Johnson is going to do that for us. I don't think he's going to be
on the Johnson debate, he's not on 200 grand a week. So he's like signing, for me, 50 million today is not what it used to be. 100 grand, 120 grand a week is like minimum wage in the Premier League now, man. So for me, Johnson's just a signing. It's not a marquee. The reason I say Ivan Toney is more marquee is because he will cost more. It might be up towards 70 mil, but he'll also be on 200 grand a week. We've got to talk wages. You know, fans talk about signings, but we don't talk about wages. Wages are very important. There's no point talking about signings if we're not going to talk about wages because they come hand in hand. Players don't get the money you sign for. The club gets the money and the agent gets a commission. The player gets the wages. Let's talk about wages because wages is where the cream's at, Sam. Waitrose and Audi are different because of the money you spend on the difference, right? The wages is where the quality's at. Declan Rice, I think, like, I don't know if it's 200 grand or 220 grand. Soon as Arsenal or Edu or Arteta or whoever it is there, Josh Kroenke or whatever said, yeah, 200 grand a week, we'll give you 200 grand a week. Yeah, 120 million with add-ons, whatever. Yeah, we'll give you that. The deal was done. It was done in a week. Do you know what I mean? So Daniel Levy, when he's getting that phone call from Ivan Toney's agent saying, you can have him, 60 mil, Brentford are happy, 1 year left, 200 grand a week, Daniel Levy. That's when Levy's going, his heart's racing, right? So 200 grand a week. Well, Heung-min Son's on, I think 200 or 220 grand a week. Do you know what I mean? So there's a lot that goes into the melting pot. And for me, the wages is always a problem with Levy because he wants to keep a structure, right? But we as fans want success, right? So where do we balance that?
Well, this is what I'm saying. When we talk about wages, and again, it's my last mention about TW. You get someone on loan, even for a year, and you spend 180 grand a week on them, knowing what we already know about him, that doesn't seem like good business.
But he'll probably cook in the Europa League first 5 games. He'll cook. Mark my words, Sam. Bring me back on here. He will cook it against Tin Pot FC because you know that. What's he on? 150, whatever he's on, right? Timo Werner, right? 108. Okay, Perisic. Same for Perisic, right? You know, costs very little to get in. It's a loan. He just cost us wages, but he'll be the difference between us getting to the quarters, and then he'll go shit in the quarters. But he might be all right until the semis, and then he will go shit. This is Paxton Road collab I've been waiting for. But what I'm saying is you buy horses for courses. You buy certain players to get you so far, and then you flip him out. For me, Werner is just a ready meal for today. He's not obviously not a future signing. It's a loan, man. It's an extension. It will get us to the quarters of the Europa Leagues on that left-hand side when we've got Chelsea away on Sunday, and then he won't play for Chelsea away on Sunday. Well, he might do depending on injuries and whatever. He's just a Europa League signing and a Carling Cup, FA Cup first couple of games signing. He's not the real deal, Sam. So we can't put too much. He's just a fix. He's just a fix, Sam.
And we just talked about the wages is important that you don't, that's
but he's cost nothing. He's cost nothing, Sam. He's just a fix. He's super glue for the first few rounds.
Surely we have to pay some sort of loan fee.
Listen, Timo Werner will not be at this club in 12 months, Sam. He will not be at this club in 12 months. Or we'll bring him in for another 12 months, but he won't be here in 2 years. He'll be dead.
Problem is, in 12 months' time, we can get him for free. We can get him for free.
Listen,
and
Sam,
that's my danger.
Look, every squad has certain players that come in and do a job in those games that you don't want to play your best players, right? You want to rest your Sonny's legs. You want to rest whoever's legs. I get that, man. These guys are not machines, right? You can't play 3 times a week consistently. You just can't do it. So up until Christmas, Timo Werner will be helpful to our cause in the Europa League, in the Carling Cup, in the FA Cup. February onwards, he will start struggling. And it happened this season. He will start struggling. This was just he's just a fix. Don't look at him as more than a fix, Sam.
I will have you back on here in a few months' time.
He's there till Christmas and then he's gone. Yeah, because that's what Ange is going to use him for. Let's go back to the right-hand side. Johnson, the debate's out on him. Kulusevski, the debate's out on him. What is Kulusevski? I don't even know what he is anymore, man. I don't think he knows what he's himself. What is Kulusevski, man?
Well, in Ange's system, he hasn't got enough pace to do what he needs to do for Ange in this system.
No chance.
So now, what I know from last season is Ange's trying to find a place that he's going to be effective for. Is he going to be in the 10? Is he going to possibly be an 8? Could he play on the left? Any wide position you're asking Kulusevski to beat a man and get to the bar and the cross is not his game. It's not his game. But what he can do is he's a very good footballer in the sense of, I think his decision making is good. I think I like his ability on the ball. And I like the way he can find them passes. But again,
till Christmas, he'll do us a job in the Europa League. Kulusevski will do us a job. Werner will do us a job. In midfield, midfield, we've got a lot of talent. We've got a lot of talent in midfield. We've got some young guys. We've got Basuma, Madison, Papsar. We've got a nice mix midfield. Right back, Porro. First few games of Europa League, we can't be playing Porro. He needs to rest his legs to get us top 4. So then we play Archie Gray or Spence. They get us there till Christmas. Half the squad will get us to Christmas, to the New Year, and then the second half of the season, Sam. The second half of the season is where I worry, my friend. I'm not worried till Christmas. Listen, this squad. We need some signings. Don't get me wrong, right? But the Dragusins, the Spences, the Greys, the Johnsons, Kulusevskis, Richarlisons, Bergvars, Greys, Moores, whatever, all these guys are going to get us till Christmas. We got to Christmas last season and we fell apart. It's what happens after Christmas. It's what happens after Christmas. Is it going to be a happy New Year? Because when we get to Jan and Feb, and that, the Europa League's longer than, all these competitions are now, 5 games, whatever it is. Exactly. When we get to Feb, when we get to Valentine's Day, is it going to be full of hearts or is it going to be broken hearts? Because that's where we get into business. And Ange and Levy and the guys there should be saying, right, what happens in February, guys? All right, say we are in the last 16 of the Europa League. Say we are in a FA Cup or Europa League, Carling Cup. We've got a semi or a quarter. Say we are flirting with the top 4. What happens then? Because that's my worry, bro. It's not until this first half is not my worry. My worry is the second half of the season. And I don't know if, Ivan Toney, Eze, the guy from Aston Villa, Bailey, they'll help us in the second half of the year. Heung-min Son will help us. We know the defense will be okay because we've seen enough from Romero and Mickey, Udogie and Porro to carry us. The first half, we don't want to lose our legs like last season. We're going to have injury crisis. The first half is the B squad. Obviously, Premier League, we try and win every game. Don't get me wrong. I'm talking about these intro games into the Europa League and the Cups. And I know we've been shit in the Cups, Sheffield United and whatever. And you can blame Ange for that last season when we played like an average team. But this squad has to be split in half. And my worry is January onwards, mate. And my worry is at the moment, we don't have enough quality in the squad to maintain top 4 and a Europa League run. And if we do it, we're going to have to be so lucky with injuries, mate. Otherwise, we're not going to do it.
Because I said back in, or most of the season, last season, was Ange's system works brilliantly if you could keep the best 11 to 12 players available at all times.
Yeah.
The problem we had is the drop off between those 11, 12, 13 players to the next lot. When you're bringing in someone like a Ben Davies for a Dogi, or you're bringing in a Emerson Rule for a Porro, do you know what I mean? If you're bringing in a skipping centre back for someone like Van der Ven, it doesn't make any sense. It doesn't work because
the good thing about some of these youngsters is they'll have the legs, right? They'll have a bit more leg in them than say, you know, the Madisons or whatever. Like we've seen what Papisar can do, right? The guy he's a Duracell battery, right? The guy just keeps running. So at least with the youngsters, we've got legs. We haven't got experience. So look, at the moment, my worry is where this season is going to end. This new season we're going into now. Where's it going to end? Is it going to end in devastation? Because I believe we'll have a good start because you know, everyone's fit. We'll hopefully add Eze and Tony, and I'm being very hopeful here. You know, probably people watching this game, we're talking about Eze and Tony like we're just going to go and flog 150 mil or whatever it is. But if we do get Eze and Tony, you know, I'll give the window a 7. Maybe that Bailey for Lo Celso from Villa. I like Bailey. I think he's a good player. So, you know, I'm happy with that. That gives us pace as well on the left and the right. And obviously Tony's a handful. So that's okay. But I just think like when Levy's talking to Ange and the guys right now, what is their ideal, and an ideal finish is top 4 in a trophy, because we're not winning any Premier League. So it's ideal is top 4 in a trophy.
So
but Josh, I don't know if we've got the squad.
Right. So this is where we can be deceived by what they say. If you said to me now, what do you want from next season? I want a trophy. That's what I want. I want to win something. Now I know that realistically there's easier trophies to win than some others. The Carabao Cup, we should aim for that. That's my personal opinion.
Yeah, I agree.
However, if we was to be 4th or 5th, 4th would be fantastic from a commercial perspective. But let's say we're 5th. We get to a semi-final. Well, let's say even we get to a final, but we don't win it. Some people would look at that as being a successful season. To me, that's no different than any of the seasons that have gone by. The reason being, I'm in this to win something, but that might not correlate with what the board wins or board wants. So success to them might be top 4. That might be it, and that's fantastic.
I think this comes back to what the fans want and what the players want. The players want to be in Champions League and they'll take a trophy along the way. The fans want a trophy and don't care about Champions League, except for these young fans that want to hear that music on a Wednesday night or a Tuesday night when they're out with their mates. I don't care about that tune. I want to win a trophy too. But at the same time, the players are not on the same page, I believe, as the fans. The fans want a day out and they want something to remember with their friends and family that will go, you know, down in history. A day out to Wembley. That's what I want. I want to celebrate at Wembley, man. I don't know how it even feels. So obviously we've got 1 trophy in the last 20 years or whatever it is, yeah. So what we and you want, I don't think is what the players want, in my opinion, Sam. The players want Champions League. Obviously they want a trophy, but their priority is Champions League. The players.
And this is why I think it's important with the players that you get, because as I said, if you're trying to put in younger players, they want to prove themselves. Champions League is a great afterthought for players that are established. I just want to be in Champions. I don't have to prove myself anymore. Basuma, for me, I'll use Basuma as an example. That player seems to me like he just wants to play at the highest level against the best players at all time, and he plays and performs probably when he comes to play Crystal Palace or Brighton or Bournemouth. This is below my level here. Whereas if you've got an 18-year-old Kobe Minor who wants to prove himself to get into the England squad, I'm going to play every single game. It's like it's my last game. And if you've got a talented youngster, because I'm fighting, you haven't got that sort of, oh, well, I need to be Champions League because I need to show this. I want to prove that I'm the brilliant player that I've got my future ahead of me.
But every player wants to play on a Wednesday and Tuesday night at the Bernabeu, and everywhere.
Ultimately. But if you at different stages in your career, and for instance, if you're Archie Gray now, you've come from Leeds, what you want to do is prove yourself at Spurs. You might be thinking of Champions League in the future, but that's not your be-all and end-all for this season. Your be-all is, be the best player that I can be. Show these
Yeah,
people.
yeah.
And that's what I would expect from anybody in and around 18.
But if you ask me, Sam, there's two things a player wants. There's three things a player wants. He obviously wants good money. He wants a long contract. He wants to be in the Champions League, and he wants to be playing football on the pitch. If you give most players that and say you'll never win a trophy, they'll take that because they want to be first team, because no player wants to be on the bench. I don't know what Ben Davies is still doing here, but maybe he's here for life because he's the next Ryan Mason. So I'll take Ben Davies out the equation, because you have to question Ben Davies's ambition, but maybe he's just happy to be a one club man, well, more or less a one club man, you know, and become the next Ryan Mason. I believe that guy is Levy's next number 2 alongside Mason, and he's a very intelligent man, as per Ange Postecoglou as well. He said this guy's a very intelligent man. So he'll probably end up on the corporate side with Daniel Levy and Ryan Mason. Yeah, that's fine. But most players want first team football, good money, and Champions League, in my opinion. Most footballers. They want to travel. They want their CV to have Champions. It's like working for one of the big banks. If you work for one of the big banks, you can move to any bank. If you work for PwC, you can move to Morgan Stanley. Do you know what I mean? It's on your CV. The Champions League is like that. It's a what do you call it? It's like a seal of approval that you can play at the highest level. So if I'm a player and I've got 5 years Champions League, if I go to AC or Inter and my agent's talking to those clubs, hey, listen, this guy's been doing it in the Champions League. Yeah, he plays for Tottenham, but he's been doing it in the Champions League, and he's been playing first team football. You know, he's fit. He's played in the Champions League, but he hasn't won any trophies. But that's what players and agents want, because players get more money when they get in the Champions League because their contract and the agent and everything. What me and you want is a trophy, and we're on different pages. We're on different pages, man.
I agree with that, and like I said,
you know,
I definitely agree that the players, some of the players' motivations are different, and that's why I think the age comes into it. I think for younger players, they've got more to prove. For the older players, they're more established. They wanna be, as you said, I don't want to be playing against the likes of that. I want to be doing all. So again, you have to get that balance right, and that's
you look at Man City. Man City can give you 2 of the 3. In fact, they can give you all 3, whichever way you look at it. They can give you money, good money. They can give you Champions League. They can give you trophies, but they can't give you first team football. So a lot of players don't go Man City because they want the minutes, or they go there and they leave. So I don't want to be a sub. I want to play, man. This is my dream. Yeah, I want to play football, man. I won a FA Cup. Yeah, I won a Premier. I was out there celebrating, but I didn't play. Yeah, I got 200 grand a week, but I didn't play. Yeah, I saw my mates play in the Champions League, but I didn't play. So Sonny, I play every game, even with one leg. Ange will start me, but I don't get Champions League. So players have different motivations. And we as fans, unfortunately, have to suck it up that not all players are going to come to Spurs they're going to come to win, because that just sounds silly saying that. But what I mean is, if you give them Champions League and you start them, they'll be here 10 years, even if they don't win a trophy.
We've seen that.
I mean,
Spurs. We've seen some of our players who've been here a long time. Josh, this has been
but
really good.
There's one player I think that's the anomaly in our club right now. That's not going to hang around too long. I wonder. He's world class, and he's Christian Romero. Christian Romero. Yeah. I think he's a winner, like a winner. And I think this guy won't hang around too long, because I'm not sure if he's the top 4 Champions League, give me some good money player, or if he's like, I don't give a shit, I want to win. And I believe he's a winner. So I think we'll lose him.
For some of these players, money doesn't necessarily mean it's their highest motivation. And for some of these South American players, I don't necessarily, because if you think about some of the backgrounds that they come from, if you're earning 100 grand a week compared to what some of these people in these countries, that's a lot of money. They can send loads of money back and all the rest of that sort of stuff. So again, that might not be your true motivation. But to say that you've played for Real Madrid, or to say you played for Barcelona,
it's big. Huge.
To say you won the Champions League, huge. So that's what that's their driver. So I totally agree with the Romero thing. He'll see it out here for a while, but if he's not winning anything, you can pay him 200 grand a week, but he doesn't need to have that, because he can go to Real Madrid and win stuff and get that same money.
Do you know, if we use Sonny as an example, because we know he could play for most clubs around the world, right? I don't believe he's here for the money, but of course he deserves what he gets. I don't believe he's here not to win. Of course he wants to win with Spurs, but I believe he wants first team football. That's why he's still here. I think Sonny don't want to be a bet. He enjoys playing football. He's a football. He's not a bench guy who's going to take 250 grand a week at Man City and not play. So he's that other player. He's a player that does want to win. But for him, I believe Sonny, it's not about the money. yeah, trophy would be lovely, Champions League would be amazing, but I want to play football. I put him in that category. But then you can take other players who sit on the bench at Man City and just happy to take the money. You can take other players who will take less money, but they'll go to a club because they want to win. You know, they want to be part of a winning organization. So sometimes as fans, we think all players are the same, and they're not. They're type 1, 2, or 3, or 4, or whatever it is. And then we get frustrated because we think, well, Kulusevski, what is he? You know, is he a winner? Is he a Romero? You know, what are you took? Because you brought up the word mentality. The mentality for me is within the player's personality, right? It's in their DNA. Romero is a winner. Is Kulusevski a winner? Is Basuma a winner? Is Maddison a winner? Maybe that's a conversation for another show. We don't really know if Maddison's here just to be happy in the Champions League and pick up 200 grand a week. Or is he a winner? Is he going to go, nah, screw you, Tottenham. I did 2-3 years. I want a better club. We probably haven't got enough winners, Sam. I'm sure we agree on that. We just haven't got enough winners.
We definitely haven't.
We haven't got. But I'll put this back to you. Why would a winner come Tottenham?
Well, there's a couple of reasons.
Why would a real winner come to Spurs?
There's a couple of things that could be in there. One, it could be age. Like I said, we had winners that have come to Spurs, but they might not be on the right side of the age to come to Spurs. They're not in the prime of their careers. They're not right at the Or the other thing is they come for the manager. Like some people would come to play for ex-manager because they know he's a winner. He's a winner. Conte's and Mourinho's, Klopp's, those sort. So you would go to a club for that reason. Yeah. Unfortunately for Spurs, if you have the bet, if we had Pep Guardiola at Spurs, would you see the majority of players from Man City decide that they want to come and join Spurs? Probably not. Probably not. And the reality is because they can see that Spurs is not going to win anything really, even if they've got Pep. But if Pep went to Real Madrid, just as an example, I know he's Barca man, but if he went to Real Madrid, quite a lot of those players would say, I will follow Pep if he wants me to follow him. Reason? Simple. I'm at Real Madrid. I'm guaranteed to win. I'm with Pep. It's going to be even better.
And Arsene Wenger had that pull at Arsenal. He was getting talent and players in because people knew, A, the football style suited them, but B, this guy is winning. We're not winning. And 100%. I completely agree with you. When we start winning, we'll attract winners.
That will tip that tipping point.
That's right.
Will make us a better team.
And that's why when we look at Ivan Toney and we look at Eze and we look at some of these big players, are they coming for Champions League and wages, or are they real winners? Now we will never know because the proof will be in the pudding. But my point is that when we get these players in, we need leadership, right? We need winners are leaders. Winners are leaders because their standard is so high, that losing is non-acceptable, and losers will accept anything, right? The standards are lower. Romero, we've seen what he's like on the pitch. Guy just wants to win, man. Guy wants to win. You can see him in it. You can see the hunger in him. So what is Ivan Toney? What's he coming for? And sometimes maybe, I don't know if this happens in negotiations, does the manager get half an hour in a room with Ivan Toney and say, look, man to man, you know, obviously the player is going to say all the right things. He's going to say, yeah, I'm coming to win. You know, I want to be the best, you know, But we know that a lot of players don't leave their lungs on the pitch every week, but they pick up their wages. So when are we going to get these winners, man? You know what I mean? How do we get these winners?
By winning something as soon as possible, even if it's a Carabao Cup. That's for me. That's ultimately what we need to do. If we win a trophy this season coming up, it will make our transfer windows a lot easier for the coming. And the reason being is because I can see just that whole sea change of the mentality thing, and I keep going back to the mentality thing. Romero has won Champions League. He's won
World Cup,
and a Copa America.
Two of them, I think. Now has he won? I think maybe two. Yeah.
You don't say to me, "Oh, I don't want to win anything else now. I'm done."
He's a winner.
He's a winner. So he's gonna want to win more. He's going to want to win more.
And with Pierre Højbjerg, some will argue he's a winner.
Correct.
As in, like he's got that warrior mentality. Romero's a warrior. How many warriors we got in this team? Maybe Dragusin's a warrior to make it. Maybe, I don't know. But what my point is I'd rather take a player who's less skillful, but he wants to win. He wants to leave everything on the pitch. because he just wants to be the best he can be in whatever is meant for him. A lot of these players come, take the money, happy with Champions League, and we just have to suck it up as fans. Because there's amount of times we do player reviews and we say, hold up, so you was good on Wednesday or against Man United or Man City, but you were crap against Bournemouth away. That doesn't make sense. That's not a winning mentality. He picked up his wages against Bournemouth and he played his lungs out against Man United because he's on the big stage, because everyone around the world's watching. So, you know, the whole thing is very hard to, when you sign a player, my point is it's very hard to know what you're really getting sometimes. And Tanguy Ndombele was the biggest example of, I mean, that guy's not a winner, is he? I mean, you know, he doesn't even look after his diet. I mean, let alone.
Less said about that, the better. Let me just get to a couple of comments and then get your final thoughts, because we've done this and it's been a really good show. People have said that. So final, Juice Nuts is saying, what is scary? Villa are buying players this window like crazy, and what are we doing? Hope Ange makes 10 changes in the Carabao Cup just to give most fans the we've got to win that trophy. That's a trophy we should be winning, mate. I really do think. Another couple of comments here. Skips our new Braithwaite. And said last season he wants to go for a title challenge. Well, again, you might have said that, but the reality is different. There's a lot of things that Spurs, and we've got to wait till the season starts. But
look, you might be twerking for Man City when he's saying that, or a bigger club. You never know. Or not a bigger club, but a club that obviously, you know, want to back him more.
Josh, give us your final thoughts on where people can find you.
Yeah, Spurs Debate TV. I'm not actually on it, so but it's a channel which gives you updates on Tottenham, news, videos. I clip a lot of stuff from the net. So if you're one of these guys that just wants to see clips of interviews and bits and bobs, then come to my channel, subscribe. It's probably one video a week, so it's not even a lot. And I'd love to see you on there, man. And thanks for having me on here, Sam. It was a good debate with you today.
You're coming back on. We're going to do this, and we're going to do this just to see what Brendan Johnson does. I
know. You got Johnson capitals. You're like, right, Josh. December.
Every time he has a bad game, I'm thinking of you, son. That's what I'm doing.
Listen. He'll come good. He'll come good, man. I'm happy to put my neck on the line for Johnson. I think he'll come good, but not this season's going to be a mini breakthrough. Next season. And I'm not trying to delay this. Next season, he's young, man. Next season, he'll be doing all right, man. I think he's here to stay. But we'll see what happens, man. I'm happy to come back on any time, and thanks for having me on again, man.
Nah, man. Angela's saying Josh looks like Yedinik.
I should grow the beard. Wish me. I'll be in that dressing room sorting those players out, man. If I was there right now. In fact, we didn't even talk about coaching staff, but we have to look at that as well, because Ange. We'll
do another show.
We'll
get you on in a couple of weeks or so.
Definitely, man.
There's so much. Like I said, we spent nearly 2 hours and we hadn't even talked about the tour. But anyway, that's beside the point. We've had a good debate. So people, make sure you like, subscribe, comment on the channel. Remember, it's PRTV Spurs. We're going from Paxton Road soon. We're only exclusive on PRTV Spurs, but no difference to the content, no difference to the guests that you're going to be getting. The likes of Josh here, quality guests. We always try and do that. Thank you, Hype. Nice show, man. Hopefully we get 2 or 3 all ballers signed. 2 or 3 ballers. I don't know about that. But, thanks for
hopefully.
Thanks for the comments. That is it, people. We are out. If you want to watch the Spurs game, I believe it's on Spurs Pay. If you've got that, it's not too expensive. If you want to get to see all the live games.
I think we got Bayern Munich twice. Sam, I remember seeing it twice, man. We're playing them twice in Korea, is it? Bayern Munich?
We might be then. We might be.
Yeah, it looks like.
I'll have to look
and Kane's not travelled. Harry Kane has not travelled, so we don't have to watch Harry Kane score against us, which will be painful, man. I don't think he'd celebrate, but it'd be painful watching him just banging a hat trick.
That would be painful. But yeah, I think thank you to all the guests who've been giving these comments. There's been quite a few of you today, so we appreciate that. And yeah, look out for us. We're going to have another show come up soon, but more importantly, let's look for a good season. Be positive. I know we've kind of probably hinged on some negativity in this show, but it's not. It's about objective opinions and about discussing what we think can make this team and club better. And I think we've all got our opinions on that, so we'll see. But now, comment and let us know. Josh, thank you, my friend. be in contact with you again soon, because this has been really good. I've enjoyed myself. I'm trying to, as I always do, find the outro music, which I've now found. And that, my friend, is that. Come on, you Spurs.